Good day. Welcome to the Talk It Out podcast. My name is Neal Bailey-Harper, and I'm not tired yet. We're just getting started. Hey, listen, today I got this lady, Dr. Joyce Garrett. And if you don't know, you should know, but you will know. This is Dr. Joyce Garrett. How are you, Dr. Garrett?
I'm good. I'm good.
We want to talk about her life, all the stuff she's done, all the stuff she's doing, and stuff that y'all don't know. Stuff that I don't know yet. I don't know. We're going to get something out of her that she's going to tell us all. Okay, first, all right, okay, so to give you guys a point of reference, if you watched the Kennedy Center's honors program, if you watched Christmas in Washington, and all that beautiful choral angelic music you hear in the background every year for like probably as long as most of you guys have been around, she's conducting it. She's leading it. Okay? So this is like giant stuff that we're talking today. And as a musician, firstly, I've had the honor of working with her, and I'll tell you a little bit about how I figured that out too. But secondly, Eastern High School in Washington for 30 years.
Right.
1988, you took him to Vienna.
Right.
And boom, everything changed.
Yeah, everything changed after that. I went to Eastern in 1972.
72. For 5 years, you didn't teach music though, did you?
No, I started out at Langley Junior High School.
Okay.
For 5 years, five and a half years. And then I went on maternity leave, came back and got the job at Eastern. And when I got
maternity
there,
leaves then?
Yeah, they actually did.
I didn't know that.
You had 2 years. You had
really?
to come back. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
And so I got the job at Eastern. I always wanted to work at the high school level, so I was in heaven. And when I got there were about 25 students in the gospel choir. The gospel choir was amazing. They had just
How did you
started
get to do
there.
gospel? I mean, a high school doing just gospel music?
Because they had started, the students started a gospel choir there in 1970. I think they were the first high school to start a gospel choir. And that was revolutionary, by the students in D.C.
Yeah.
And so there were about 25 or 30 of the most fabulous voices you ever wanted to hear.
Were they just kids?
Students right there at that school.
Who was conducting them?
Students. It was student-led and student conducted.
So it was tailor-made for you, right?
Yeah. But they had a teacher there before me that did not like gospel and did not want students to do gospel. So somehow they switched places. They made a personnel decision because some students went down to the school board to make a complaint. And so they switched me from the job I was at and brought me to Eastern.
Did the students have anything with you going there?
Yeah, the students, yeah.
They knew of you?
That protest led to me coming to Eastern.
No, I'm saying, did they directly request you to come there? or?
No, they just needed a teacher that would respect that loved gospel.
Gee, I wonder how they knew that.
And see, I love all kinds.
Right.
So when I got there, I was thinking, now I got to do something about this because I had 10 people that had enrolled in the concert choir class, the regular class, during the day.
Yeah, right.
10 people, but the after school gospel choir, everybody came to that. So I figured I dealt with that for about 2 years. We were singing all over town at all these churches every weekend. We were doing something. But I still needed to build up the concert choir.
Right.
Because I didn't want to teach this gospel.
So now let me ask you, what was it school-sponsored performances? Or did you just guys just meet up?
The students did it on their own.
Wow.
The school didn't really sponsor it.
So when y'all said to perform at the church, it was just like, okay, everybody be here?
We would get an invitation, and we'd say, okay, we're going to sing such church, 5 o'clock.
No school bus? No.
Everybody got there on their own.
Wow, okay.
And we did that successfully, and then after I'd been at Eastern about 2 or 3 years, I said, I need to branch out, but how can I do it? So I know what, I said, I'm going to require that in order to be in the gospel choir, you have to enroll in the concert choir class during the day.
Okay.
So when I did that, all of those fabulous voices came within the class.
Okay.
And then I continued working with them after school in the gospel choir. Because gospel choir rehearsal was like 1 day a week after school.
And everybody looked forward to it.
Everybody looked forward to it. And the neighborhood, people from the neighborhood would come. To come to rehearsal because they sang just that good.
So when did you realize this
These
thing that
things.
was coming? When did you realize that? I mean, the fact that you got firstly all these kids that wanted to do something
Yes.
and could do something, but now they wanted to do it with you.
Yeah, but the thing is, when children, when they feel like somebody likes what they like
Right.
and is
Right.
identifying with the things that mean something to them,
Yeah.
then you got them.
Yeah. Okay.
So
okay.
basically, I use gospel as like bait.
That's the baby.
I used that as the bait. It was kind of like bait and switch. But bait, I didn't bait and switch. I just baited and included more.
Just focus
And
up in
I
it.
kept talking about. I made a little slogan called 360 Degrees of Music. Say we were going to sing
Right.
everything.
Right.
And they bought into it. And some of the students started saying that the classical music, Miss Garrett, I like that. That's my favorite song. So they
Yeah.
were coming along
It's
and
stuff they
learning.
hadn't heard before.
Right. And I just felt like they needed to see more and hear more. I believe in taking people out to see,
Yeah.
and then you don't have to talk so much.
Yeah.
You just we would
Yeah,
start
that's true.
taking them to concerts,
Okay.
taking them out,
Seeing
see
it,
something
okay.
else.
Then you can just work on the preparation. The
Yes,
music you're
exactly.
listening to now is Aretha Franklin. Why? Because she's great. Secondly, because she's worked with her.
Oh, yeah.
She's worked with her too.
Connection.
So that's real. I came across this quote, and we were talking about it while we were eating, that Dr. Garrett gave, and it just made, as a choral director a while back, she had this quote that says, "Choir is a tool for transforming lives."
Yeah.
Anybody who's ever taught kids in high school, middle school, that's the light goes off when you say that.
Right, definitely. And it's not just me. Thousands
Right.
of teachers are doing it
Right.
all the time.
Whether they know it or not.
Whether they know it or not. When we came back from Europe in '88, UDC gave all of the 26 seniors a full scholarship, tuition scholarship, and hardly anyone took it because nobody was basically going to college back then. They just weren't going.
There's always service.
They were not going. They weren't interested in college. So I figured that I needed to do something to make it worthwhile.
Okay, so when you came back, now you go to Vienna, you come back. Today's show. Good Morning America.
CBS. Sunday morning.
People Magazine.
Right, People Magazine.
Give me that moment when you kind of said, yeah.
But I never really said, yeah.
You didn't say,
No.
yeah.
No.
Come on,
I
you
was
said-
like, oh, that was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
But was
Try
it
to pick-
easier? But my thing is, it's just like I look at it as a sports analogy. Now you're up here. Was it harder to stay up there or harder to get up there?
Harder. It was hard both ways because
Yeah.
remember, you have to have an appreciation of what you're doing.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You
See,
gotta want to do
so
it.
so the 54 that went to Europe in '88, that whole year, I never had 54 at rehearsal. So the only time I saw all 54 of them was on the plane going to Vienna.
Because you had confidence
because
in
we
them
get
to do
this
that.
invitation, and the kids still, even though I'm doing every kind of music, they're still pro gospel.
Right,
All right.
right.
So the invitation says, "Come to Vienna, and you have to do classical music," and it was required. They told you what you had to sing, so we had to learn this
How
difficult
much
piece
in advance did you get to know?
about a year in advance.
Okay.
So a year in
you're teaching
advance. So we got this letter saying you need to learn Polyvensian dances. We thought we had to learn it in German. You had to learn a Kyrie by Mozart. Yeah. And then you had to learn one song from a composer of your own country. So I chose William Dawson's Ezekiel Saw the Real.
Okay, yeah.
And then you had to learn, you had
that.
another song that of your own choice. And I chose Flower of Beauty by a British composer.
Okay.
So those were our 4 songs. Okay, so you go in a classroom and you just announce to your students, you're just like, we're going to Europe, we're gonna do this. They were like, so, they're not, in my mind I thought everybody get all excited, but they
but
weren't.
you just said Europe though.
Yeah,
I mean,
because to them, and somebody told me this later, that they were used to people promising things and not coming through.
Oh, wow.
So your father will say, "I'm gonna be by this weekend. I'm gonna bring you some money," and it'll show up, stuff like that.
It's always the other side. If you think about it from their point of view, that is true.
But I was thinking only, oh, they're just gonna jump on this. They're gonna be excited. Yeah. So it was a struggle all year long. They didn't come to rehearsal. A lot of them, they missed a lot of rehearsals. Did they want to go? They didn't know the value of going. Okay. So, you got to value something. You got to know that it's important.
You think if they thought it was just gospel, they'd have been more into
because,
it?
see, we had just won 2 high school gospel competitions in New York.
So this was something
they loved that.
Yeah.
The preparation for going to New York, sing gospel, they were on it.
Right,
But to turn around, and we had to switch around and almost stop singing gospel with a chest voice
gospel
for 4 or 5 months.
Classical Vienna.
And we had to learn. We had to start singing our head voice.
Yeah.
And that concert voice, because they couldn't do.
Well, how many of these kids were like music?
Out of the 54, I think 1 or 2 could read music. So I had to teach every note by rote. Wow. I didn't have an accompanist. I sat at the piano. And I taught every note.
Now I've seen you do that. I've seen you at the piano.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's amazing to me. I gotta let you know, I've sung in the choir and will sing again.
I hope so. I
will sing again in the choir with Dr. Garrett. We got that. I'm on record. Okay?
Yes. Okay.
But
right.
I remember being excited for the first rehearsal because I said I get to watch how you do stuff. And we go into this rehearsal, and I remember you said something like, "Okay, pull out this song," and I'm going, "Okay, page 9."
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, we did a passage in there.
Right.
And then I did the next, okay, put that down. Let's go to another song.
Yeah.
Page 37. I'm like, wait a minute.
Are we going to finish this?
I'm like, I remember I'm new. Now, I'm a musician, so I can read and all this, but I'm sitting up there catching up.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it was fascinating to me because it was like, in your mind, it made me think that as a conductor, you actually had passages in your head. The song might have been okay, but there were passages that
Passages need more work. And I kind of like to psych myself and the choir.
Yeah.
So if I say start on page 9, it's probably because I will have picked the hardest part, and you learn that. And then I'll say, oh, okay, go back to the first. And then when you turn over, you get to page 9 the next time. You like, oh, I've done this. And
I had no idea what song I was singing. I thought it was all one big song. But it seemed like just one big long song to me.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
I was like, but it was interesting though.
The downside of that is choir members will sometimes say, "Can we just sing the whole thing from the beginning to the end?"
Yeah. But I mean, it was fascinating, but it worked. It really did. And again, when you work with a lot of people that aren't musicians.
Right. And a lot of my technique comes from work with teenagers.
Right. Singing
I have
road.
to get. It's not that as much as the time span, the attention span.
Yes.
So I got to get their attention.
No, not then. We were much longer.
Yeah,
we read books and everything then, right?
Yeah. So that's why I do a little bit here and then give them something different and try to keep it light.
My kids always wanted to sing the whole song all the way through. All the way through. And I found out that one thing worked too was taping it, so they could hear it.
Right.
And then it didn't sound like it did in their head. Then they might want to try to work on it a little bit more.
It is. It's a great technique.
So okay, your 30-year reunion.
Yes.
300 members from that school.
Yeah.
The pressure that is on the person who replaced you. How did that work out?
Well, the person that replaced me, I handpicked Patrick London.
I would think so.
He
yes.
is wonderful.
Yes. Okay.
And he
so
was
there's
there,
not a lot of pressure
there. He did 2 years.
Only 2?
He only did 2. He only did because Patrick has his own community choir, ministers music. So his heart was at Eastern, but he had a greater calling to do his own thing. And then after he left, a young man named Trent Davis was the music teacher there. And then the school was undergoing so much turmoil. We had this principal and that principal. There were new principals almost every year. So at a certain point, they just closed the school down, renovated the whole building, and then started all over again.
Last 10 years?
And then started all over again.
But you kept the choral tradition, which is fabulous.
Yeah, well, the choral, at one time, there was no choir at East. In all this turmoil, the choir went, so they've had a choir now for about 3 years.
So I imagine there's kids of members that were there when you were there
Right.
that kind of had to crush them
Right.
when the choir went away.
Oh yeah, of course. When they built the new building, they don't even have a choir room in it. There's a band room.
Really?
I know. Nobody
How could you
would
do
believe
that?
The room that was the choir room, the room that made all that history, is a multi-purpose room now.
What?
So part of
if you picked up the
part
phone
of
and
our
said, "I want the room back."
yeah, I wish.
It would happen.
I wish. Part of our trying to have this concert was trying to cement that legacy before people forgot that
That
all
room
that
should have
happened.
your name on it. I would think,
It's
it
got
should be
my blood and sweat on it.
Yeah, it should have it on the door. My room is like, that's class 409. No, that's Dr. Garrett. I mean, it should have your name on it. They really don't have a choir. So, but here's the other thing I learned too, that teaching kids, you're a kid in a lot of ways. You have to be to connect on that level. But at the same time, you got to show them that's a path to get to where you are.
Yeah, well, what they want is a teacher that cares.
Right.
I think earlier you were asking me how was I using music transform lives. But what I discovered when first they weren't going to college.
Right.
And then I saw that they were doing some things that I knew would not lead to their success.
Okay.
So I think by winning in Vienna, I became more success conscious.
Right.
And I was like, they aren't doing the things that it's going to take.
Okay.
So why don't I just use this choir room like as an incubator?
Exactly.
And change the attitude and the atmosphere in this one little room right here.
How did you feel about? I'm thinking about when you came back, and all of a sudden you're getting all these calls.
Yeah,
and then you're running into people that, okay, can you do the Kennedy Center?
Oh my goodness.
How did that feel?
It felt wonderful. The students, even though they didn't appreciate Vienna until they got back.
You got back, right?
And so, we actually did this, you know.
And nobody else did.
And nobody else
had
done that.
Yeah.
So it made a difference after we got back.
So would you choosing music and things like that for the next couple of years? I'm just thinking, was there any pressure on you then, you felt like?
I've never felt any special pressure.
Okay.
Except when I was asked to do big things.
Right.
Or like
Kennedy Center.
Go out on the stage. We've done so many big programs. So what I learned.
Wait. What's big? Now everything I've heard you talk about is big. So what's big? Are we talking two bigs or three bigs?
Big was singing with the Morgan Choir with Dr. Nathan Carter.
Which we had the opportunity to do also.
For the Martin Luther King program of the Choral Arts Society at the Kennedy Center. Okay. So I'm at stage and realize that this person that I've looked up to, I've got to sing there with their choir.
Oh, so it was Nathan Carter that was.
It was Nathan Carter's choir.
Okay.
Big is going out on the stage every year at Christmas in Washington, and the president is a few feet away on the front row, right in the middle. And you turn around and you're looking in their face. You make this bow. Yeah. And big is Kennedy Center Honors.
How was that last year?
But the thing is, I've learned how to say yes. Like if Aretha Franklin calls on telephone, hi, Joyce, this is Aretha, or Diana Ross. What I do is say, oh, sure. Yeah. Then I hang up the telephone and I'm like, oh, Lord. Then I was like, how am I going to do it? So what I've done all these years is say yes. and then figure out how to do it.
No, see, I think now you say yes, then you hang up the phone, then you call somebody else, and you tell them, and they say yes.
Well, you're right.
Yeah.
Very true. So now, if somebody calls me for a choir, and I don't have a choir, I will call Patrick Lundy or somebody else, and I'll say, that's how Patrick got the
branches
job.
of your tree.
Patrick is doing now the July 4th event, and he's doing the Memorial Day event. From the Capitol
So
building.
These are people that
PBS
came from you.
Because he was working with me. So when I stopped having the Eastern Choir and these invitations to come, I'm like, call Patrick Lundy. So, we're kind of passing it on.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, it should be.
Okay, now I've seen you line dance. I've been at parties with you. I can't. It's just like I could do the country thing with the belt thing, but I can't do the line. What else do you like? What do you like to do? What do you like to do? What's your favorite TV show?
You know what? On television, I like the only um, reality TV show that I watch is Say Yes to the Dress. I like that little,
I like the
little
Atlanta
girly
break.
show.
I
I like Say Yes to
What
the
Not
Dress.
to Wear was my favorite.
Oh, yes, I used to look at that. So I like. We look at mainly. I like HGTV.
Really?
I love HGTV. I like to the Property Brothers.
I've done the House
and
Hunters thing. I don't
I
know
like
why.
the Dream Cruises and Travel Station and stuff like that.
Okay, go back now. Let's go back. TV in the. What did you grow up watching? I'm just kidding. 'Cause I'm a TV
Grew
fanatic.
up watching the soap. I Love Lucy and and the
Wait.
westerns. Never did
Oh, she just opened the door.
Do you like westerns?
Today, on break from work, I come home and watch Gunsmoke. I'm a big
My
Gunsmoke.
classmate was Maceo Parker, who is the Maceo from James Brown
yes.
band.
Mm-hmm.
We in the same high school class.
You know, my sister went to your college too.
Is that right? And so Maceo told me that he likes watching westerns.
All right, what's your favorite western?
No, I can't even tell you what the favorite. It was like it wasn't
Give me
my
three.
favorite.
Give me three.
But they weren't my favorite. I didn't
You just
favor
watched
them. Well, you looked at whatever was on TV.
Well,
Back in the
no,
day, you
not
couldn't
necessarily.
change it. You couldn't change
Columbo?
the channel. No, I didn't. I don't watch.
What?
I've never watched. I watched the Cosby Show when
The old one or the new one?
The old one.
I Spy?
Yeah. I like the.
See, that's what y'all don't even know. We talking about Cosby. We talking about I Spy.
Different World a little while.
Right. Okay.
Never got into soap operas that much.
Neither did I.
Never did.
Although I was named after a guy on a soap opera.
Is that?
Yeah, from.
Yeah. Well, you know the soap opera name like Blake.
Well, it was 12 of us. I guess you were just looking for names. That's a while.
Neal.
Musically, okay, you work with Aretha. One of my sisters would throw me under the bus to get next to this other guy you work with. You work with Johnny Mathis.
So many of them.
Yes, yes.
So
Anybody strike you as?
Well, I'm gonna tell you something that was really, real fun. We did Super Bowl in 2009 with Bruce Springsteen.
Oh.
So I was standing in the Willard Hotel, looking down. I was looking down at Pennsylvania Avenue. Obama and Michelle had just gotten out of the car. They were walking down the street. We had a hotel room right there, looking right down at them. I got a telephone call, and they said, "I'm the manager, Bruce Springsteen, and we want you to bring a choir to the Super Bowl." That was 2009, and
so these are all seeds planted from '88.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Every seed, everything has come since '88. All the big things.
You put in the work though.
So I hung up the phone and screamed, of course, and said, and they wanted 40 singers. He wanted a choir. He wanted a gospel choir. So what I do, I have a database, and I look on that list, and I call. I say, how many sopranos, altos, tenors, and basses that I want out of each group. So whenever I get an invitation, if they want 20 people, I say, okay, so I'm gonna get about.
I need to get in that Bruce Springsteen database. I need to be in the Boston database.
7 sopranos, about 6 altos, about 14. That's how I figured out. And then I call people that I know can really sing.
See, that's the amazing thing. That's my next question. The amazing thing to me is that some of these guys, people you call them, are professional singers. But some of them are just people that have sang with you for years.
Most of them are just singers. That all this talent that's out here. Yeah. They're not. Most of the professional singers I don't call, because the professional singers probably have their own thing going.
And they're divas.
And the divas. You're right. They already got their own thing going.
I live with one. Just joking. But yeah, that's so. So you just use the same people that you know that
you call them, and I send an email. Okay. We send an email. And I'll say, let me know if you're interested. And the subject line will say, special invitation to participate in Super Bowl, or special invitation to participate in Kennedy Center Honors. You send it out, and then they say yes. And you take the yeses, and I put out the rehearsal schedule, and you meet them, and you practice.
Any relationships over the years still made?
Well, Diana Ross called me 2 years ago to get a group for her daughter's wedding. Or was it the son's? It was a wedding. Maybe it was a daughter's
so
wedding.
many friends.
But it was in the middle of the summer. I don't have a choir. And
You turned down Diana Ross.
I turned it on to somebody else.
I
I immediately called the other person.
There you
and
go.
Said,
there
do
you
you
go.
want to take this? And they went to
They
New
took
York.
it. See,
It was at her.
Seeds have been planted.
It was at her estate. 2 years ago, she called. She said, "I need 28 singers." She just told me the number.
So wait. I just glossed over that at her estate.
Yeah,
So they were
the
going to
wedding
her
was at
estate
her
to do the
estate.
wedding.
Yeah, in
So
New
the
York.
28 people had
And
to
then
go to New York.
No,
to do,
she wanted about 15 for that.
That she
so
was
they
going to
tell you
pay
how
for
many
to
they
come
want.
there.
To went to New York. And then she needed 28 singers because she was singing Christmas at the Kennedy Center with the National what is it? National Orchestra. Washington National
Washington, okay.
So the orchestra. So I got 28 singers for that, and she did 3 shows, and we loved it because I had taught what I thought. You know, they sent the music, and a lot of it I had to listen to records and figure out the notes. Sometimes you get the notes, sometimes you have to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I had taught what I thought I heard. And then one of her background singers, who always is with her, came in the room and he taught all the little subtleties. And when you need to slur on this note, it was amazing. You would love seeing, because no matter what we think we are doing, there's always another level of it.
Yeah,
That's what I'm learning. It's just whatever somebody say, oh, this is so wonderful. Well, it's about 3 or 4 more levels.
Okay, speaking of other levels, you as a performer. Now, I haven't heard you perform as a solo performer, but the way you teach, I know there's another level there.
I like directing and playing.
That wasn't the question. I know there's another level of you performing.
Of me performing, from what I've done already?
I mean, just what have you done performing-wise?
Oh, for me?
Yeah, playing-wise or singing-wise?
Playing and singing. My whole career has been kind of getting other people to do that.
Okay.
Which is what I like.
Right, I know.
Other people
but you have
sing.
a grand piano in your home. When do you sit down and play? What do you play?
When I sit down to play, I have these, most of the time, the classical books that I had.
When you don't use the books, what do you play?
When I don't use the books, what do I play? Probably gospel.
I mean, we're musicians. We go inside ourselves sometimes. We sit down and we just, when we want to feel good about something, we just...
Surprisingly, I don't sit down at the piano as much as you would think I would.
Really?
But if I'm at the piano, I'm usually there. I got all this music from church choirs that I'm getting ready to teach.
What I'm talking about, you don't need the music.
So what you're talking about just what I just sit down and play?
Yes. That's right, yes.
Probably gospel or Chopin or something that I remember from when I...
See, now I just found out something. Now I know you can play. Because you just Chopin.
Yeah,
a lot of people just can't play
music.
Chopin.
Yeah, I love romantic.
Really?
That period.
Like Debussy?
Impressionist, Liszt, especially Liszt.
Really?
But
for y'all that don't know, she can really play. If she's talking about Liszt, she can really play.
But I don't play Liszt. What I do is listen to classical music all day long. So that's what I listen to all the time. In the car, at home, mainly it's on classical. And so I don't play it as much as I...
Okay. I always wanted to ask you this, last question. James Cleveland or Walter Hawkins?
Oh, my goodness. I've loved both.
I have too. Now, you don't have to make a choice.
But my favorite is Edwin Hawkins.
Edwin, okay.
Edwin.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yes,
that makes
because
sense. That's
I
where it all
consider
came from.
Edwin Hawkins. In '69, I had an aunt that lived in Rockville. She called me on the phone. She said, "Have you heard "Oh Happy Day"?
Oh Happy Day. That's
and
changed gospel music.
That changed my life because really. And then I had never heard those kind of chords before.
Right.
And I had graduated from college with a music major degree, but couldn't play chords like that. And then I started listening. I would put the tape recorder next to the piano and listen and rewind, see that I remember that chord. And I did that all through my 20s, just listen to music and learning.
Yeah.
And then I had a cousin, Shelton, back then, who all, it just came to him naturally. So whenever he would come to our house, it would be like, show me these chords.
Yeah.
Show me, how do you do this? What's this?
Yeah.
What's left hand doing? I could always get the chord and it would be one note. It's like I'm missing a note. I know I'm missing a note. And Shelton would help me figure that. So then I did that, and I joined Union Temple Baptist Church in Washington, where Richard Smallwood's father had helped plant that church.
Okay.
And Richard had a choir called the Young Adult Choir. So I'm like in my late 20s by now.
So you're just a sponge. Just feed
I was like a sponge.
Yeah.
I would go to church and look at those hands, look at those fingers, and try to remember something. And I go back home, sit down at the piano. I think I was more into playing and doing that then than I am now.
Well, you can play and talk and
I'm more
conduct
into
all at the same
directing
time.
now but then it was like soaking up whatever I heard and go home and seek it out.
Well, when you can direct with one hand and play with the other hand while you're directing, that's on my pay grade.
You had to direct with your head and your eyes.
Yeah, and still do. We will sing again. Thank you, my dear.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
Hey guys, Dr. Joyce Garrett, you know now. Okay, thanks. Talk It Out podcast. We will be back next week with Emmy Award winning Bill Bell, my little brother. Have a good day, everybody.